Good afternoon, students. Zikhona Ndlebe went for an interview at Cliff Decker Hofmeyer in response to her application for candidate attorney in 2015. I will now conduct a mock interview with her. Zikhona, tell us, how did you go about preparing for the interview? What practical things did you do?
First, I went to the website of the law firm, and then I browsed through it, found out what it's about, what their focus is on. And I went online and got interview questions, the typical interview questions. I went through them, answered them, and I conducted a mock interview with a friend of mine and my mother's colleague.
And come the morning of your interview, is there any special things that you did in preparation for the interview?
I prepared the days before. So in the morning, I just tried to calm myself down, and I went through answering the questions and the preparation that I've done before, the day before. So I just calmed myself down, made sure I have the right clothing, dressed appropriately for the interview.
Was this your first interview for articles?
Yes, it was my first interview.
And how did you feel going for this first interview?
I was excited, but I was also nervous at the same time. So I had to just calm myself down and make sure that I did what I was supposed to do to nail the interview.
Is there anything special students who are going for interviews should do in order to relax?
It's better if you prepare. If you know exactly what you're going to encounter in the interview, then the chances are that you're going to be more relaxed. So you need to prepare beforehand.
They say that first impressions are lasting impressions. What should a student do to create this first positive impression on an interviewer? And when does it actually start?
When you walk in the door, when you walk in that room with the panel sitting there and they're looking at you, how you're going to introduce yourself, how you present yourself, and confidence as well is something that we need. We have to be confident. And you cannot just be confident if you don't know what you're talking about. So you have to prepare, and you have to walk in that room with confidence and present yourself in a manner that will impress them when you introduce yourself as well.
Is that what you did?
Yes, that's what I did, and I hope that the impressions that I got to them were positive.
Why do you think you were shortlisted for an interview?
I took my interview to one of you, and you reviewed my interview and my letter of motivation. So I
Talk about your CV.
My CV, sorry,
Right.
My CV, and my letter of motivation as well. You reviewed it, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was selected for the interview, because of what I had on paper.
When you look back at that interview, how would you rate your performance? What would you say you would do differently at your second interview?
I'd remain calm more and not panic, and I'll be really relaxed and make sure that I speak with confidence. Because it was my first interview, I was confident, but when I got in the room, the confidence just went down a little bit. So I just remain calm and confident.
How many interviewers were in the panel?
It was 4. Yes.
What, in your view, were the selection criteria that they applied in order to shortlist candidates for interviews?
I'm sure that they took your results into consideration, but not only that, they also took your performance in community service and the work that you've done around the community as well.
Right, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and this will be the actual mock interview. Tell us about yourself.
You know that my name is Zikhona Ndlebe. I was born and raised in Cape Town. I'm an only child. I have 2 siblings, which are my cousins. I went to St. Paul's Primary School, went to Cape Town High School. I love reading so much. I read a lot of books. I'm currently reading Joyce Meyer's book, and it's very helpful. I like reading books that will help me become a better person as well. And I love music. I want to play the piano sometime in the future. So that's the kind of person that I'm also a good listener. I give good advice.
And what made you select law in your high school as a possible career?
Besides the money and the dress code, which is really appealing to me, and the seriousness, I think most things revolve around the law, whether it's the law of the land or the law of the high power. So that's why I decided to study law, because I'm a very religious person, and I think laws that are not meant to be broken, as many people say, they are meant to be followed. And I find that it is much better to live your life while following rules. So I wanted to also, besides the spiritual point of view that I have, I wanted to apply the law in my life right now. So, yeah.
And what if that law is unjust? Would you still follow it? What if a client comes to you admitting to a crime that he or she did? Would you take instruction from that client?
The law is not only about what is written down on paper. We have to act in an ethical manner. Well, I was taught in advocacy that if a client does that, you should consider the ethical viewpoint in that scenario.
What attracts you to Cliff Decker Hofmeyr? Why did you apply to Cliff Decker for articles?
Cliff Decker Hofmeyr is one of South Africa's largest full-service law firms in corporate and commercial, and it does work all over the world. It is also part of the DLA Piper Group, which provides legal services all over the world. But besides that, Cliff Decker has also been rated #1 in the M&A Awards, Deal Maker and Deal Value. So that shows that the people at Cliff Decker are hard-working people, and they're also dedicated. And I'm a hard worker, and I'm dedicated as well. But besides all those points, Cliff Decker makes time to help out in community as well. It's participating in one of the community services in Delft, because it's contributing in Ulelani Childcare Center, which helps young children. And that's also part of my passion. I feel that life is not about, and the law is not about just making money or working all the time. It's also about giving back to the community.
Well, students, this question really focuses on your understanding of the company, of this prospective employer. To get that understanding, you need to do a significant amount of research on that company. Get hold of any information that you can about the company. I think also what they want to do is to test your motivation to work for that specific company. They want to see whether you are looking for just a job, or whether you see yourself mapping out a career in that particular organization. They also want to see whether your options are well thought through, whether you are goal-directed, whether you have a career plan. Also, what is useful is whether you're up to date with that specific company in terms of what they're doing, maybe current issues in that particular company. Are you satisfied with your academic performance over the years?
I'd say I'm okay with it, but I know that I can do much better if I put enough time in my studies and if I dedicate myself more.
So, how much time have you put into your studies?
I'd say 98%, because I study every day, but I feel that I can do much better. There's always space for improvement.
Have your marks increased progressively over the years, or has it fluctuated?
I'd say it has increased.
Progressively over
Yes.
the years?
Yes.
Do you think that's a good sign?
I think it's a good sign because it shows that I've been able to learn about how I should conduct my studies over the years.
Why should Cliff Decker Hofmeyr select you for articles? We have many applicants from
Yes.
UWC and other institutions. Why you? What makes you special?
I'm a well-rounded person, and I'm also a hard worker. I've participated in community service, such as the HIV/AIDS program, which is on campus, where we go out to communities and schools and conduct sessions there, where we educate young students about HIV/AIDS and the issues that are around the virus. And I've also participated in other community services around Khayelitsha and the different townships of Cape Town during June holidays, where we go out to the communities and spend time with young kids and we teach them about life. So I feel that I want to make a mark. I want to make a positive mark in the youth and the upcoming generation. Cliff Decker also does that, so I feel that I'd fit in such an environment.
Well, students, when asked such a question, this is your chance to shine. This is your chance to shine in a non-arrogant way. This is your chance to market yourself and make a positive impression on the interviewer. What should you focus on? You should focus on the fields that specifically interests you, on your motivation, focus on your academic background, your willingness to learn, and your personal skills. How have you developed these skills that Cliff Decker is looking for?
By working with people and by learning to adapt to different situations. I've also developed these skills by pushing myself to the limit and not giving up, because I know that I'm not always going to get what I want all the time. I have to work, and sometimes I might not get what I want at the time when I want it. So I've learned over the years that it's all about perseverance and working hard. In whatever you do, you must put 100% in.
Can you name one or two obstacles that you had to confront along the road, or challenges that you had to confront, and what did you do about it?
Well, in 2011, there was a challenge that I confronted. I won't say it specifically, but I was at a point where I was thinking about giving up on everything. But I told myself that I can't, because I have to work for my future. If I give up now, what am I going to achieve for myself? So it's all about sitting yourself down sometimes and talking to yourself.
Do you think that is something common, that students reach those crossroads?
I'm sure everyone reaches that stage in their life. And we need support, but most of the time we have to have the courage to overcome.
And what type of support structures are there on campus to assist students at that particular point in time?
Some students find it very hard to adapt when they are in different situations. But we do have this CSSS here on campus, where you can go for counseling, you can go just to talk to anyone. And we also have student development services, where if you are finding it hard to adapt regarding your studies, you can ask someone to help you.
Right. Akona, let me read you some of the skills or the attributes that Cliff Decker looks for in candidate attorneys. Time management, planning and organizing. Do you have an informed opinion? The hunger to learn, an inquiring mind, community engagement, a go-getter, an avid reader, a sharp communicator, a critical writer, where you can carry yourself professionally, computer skills, research. Do you have what it takes?
I have what it takes.
Which of these skills and attributes do you think you need more developing?
Research skills. I noted that when you said it. I'm able to research, but I feel that I still need to do a lot of work with regards to that.
Do you think that's an important skill for a candidate attorney?
It is.
How would you apply it?
In order to be able to write something, you have to research first. and find out more about it. In order to be able to give your opinion about something, you have to know something about what what you're dealing with. So you have to be able to research.
Akona, what is your career goals? Where do you see yourself in the short term, in the medium term?
I'd like to become an associate in a law firm. I feel that while at varsity, I'm still learning the basics about what the law is about. And when I get in to do my articles, I feel that it will only be then when I'm able to implement those skills that I learned at varsity. So when I'm an associate, I'll be given an opportunity to show what I've learned over the years. So I'd like to become an associate.
Right, before you come that, you have to be a candidate attorney.
Yes.
What do you think are some of the day-to-day tasks of a candidate attorney? What is the expectations of a law firm of a student in that post?
A candidate attorney, you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to work hard and put in the hours. That's what I've noticed when I was doing vacation work. It's you go home late, and then you have to get up early in the morning to just make sure that everything is in order. So you have to absorb all the information that you can get from the people around you, and you have to be able to put it out there as well when you are required to do so. And you have to, time management is also important when you're a candidate attorney, because most of the time you have to manage and help out your seniors. So if you unable to manage your time, you won't be able to do all the necessary work that you have to do.
Can you sketch some of the practical things that a candidate attorney does over his or her 2 years?
I think it depends on the area in which you're working in, because some law firms do the rotation program. So in the litigation department, you have to go to court, you have to go to the sheriff's offices, you have to draft documents as well and consult with clients. So that is the work that you do. And then also in the commercial department, you have to consult with clients as well. So you have to, you hands-on all the time.
How important are computer skills as a candidate attorney?
I think they're very important. You have to know your way around the computer. You have to know almost everything that has to do with the computer, because in the day and age that we're living in, everything has to do with technology. So if you're unable to work your way around the computer, you won't get much work done at the end of the day.
Let's take you back. If you had to turn the clock backwards and start your studies all over again, what would you do differently?
Time management. I'd manage my time in an efficient way. I wouldn't spend most of my time sitting around and thinking that the work that has to be done, I will be able to do it within an hour. So I have discovered that when it comes to studying, you have to force yourself to sit down and do the work that you're supposed to do, because it's a lot of work and you can't do it overnight. And when it comes to exams, it's not about working throughout the night. When you have to prepare from the beginning of the year till the end of the year.
Can you list some of the business legal services that are offered by Cliff Decker and some of the core practice areas, the specializations?
Cliff Decker specializes in corporate and commercial, in the litigation department. It also has a litigation department, real estate. It also has employment department.
And some of the specialities linked to these various sectors and services?
Could you repeat the question?
You just listed some of the services that they have.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the specialities within these services?
They consult with clients on all those different services, and they are able to make deals in the different companies that they work with.
Okay, it's not quite so. I think when you're doing your company research, you need to have a very good understanding and be able to list all these services that are offered and some of the specialities, because they might not offer everything within that sector or in that service or in that field. They would focus on certain things. So I think for next time, whichever company you go to, just see that you are able to distinguish between these two.
Okay.
Right.
Could you explain them more a bit?
Yeah, I will refer you to the the section in the website, full service capability. It gives the list of those the services and the specialities.
Okay.
Right. Let's ask you somewhat of an updated question. Today marks the start of the trial of South Africa's Paralympian Oscar Pistorius. Last month, the High Court ruled to allow the media to record the proceedings of the courts. Quite something of a groundbreaking ruling and judgment in our system, in our country. What is your view about that?
I'll have to first start at the fact that Oscar is a public figure, and he made the decision for himself, and many people look up to him, and he has inspired a lot of people with disabilities not to give up and to continue living their lives. So when he allowed that to happen in his life, to be a public figure, he opened the doors to the public, and he allowed his right to privacy to be limited. So I feel that it was a fair ruling. So because we need to know what happened in that event on the 14th of February last year, because we look up to him. We would like to be informed as to what really went on that day. So I think it is a fair ruling that we be informed.
But whose interests will the ruling serve? Surely he's got a right to a fair trial.
Yes.
And not a trial by in the public domain through the media.
I don't think it's going to be an unfair trial that the media be allowed to within the trial. It is also in our interest as the public to know what the ruling is going to be, because not many people are going to be able to go to court and listen to the trial.
In criminal procedure, witnesses that are called
Yes.
are not allowed to sit in cross-examination of witnesses before them. Only once you've
Yes.
been cross-examined, you can sit in the court. They say that there's going to be over 100 witnesses for the defense, for the prosecution. Who said that these witnesses are not going to watch the trial beforehand and therefore adjust their evidence once they get there? There's no guarantees about that.
Yes, there isn't a guarantee about that. But I think it is in the interest of the public that the trial be broadcasted.
Let's take it back. Our president, Mr. Jacob Zuma, there was an application to broadcast his trial, and the High Court turned that down.
Yes.
Public figures, maybe the one public figure, Mr. Zuma is, a higher profile figure than Oscar Pistorius. He was turned down. Oscar was approved. Is there some unfairness in the justice system?
There is some unfairness in the justice system, because I feel that the president is in a higher position than Oscar. He represents us as a nation, and what he does is important to us as the people of South Africa, and we have the right to know be informed of what he does. So I feel that it was unfair that his trial was not allowed to be broadcasted.
But surely the justice system doesn't allow themselves to be interfered with by anybody. They have to rule without fear and favor.
In my honest opinion, I'd say that our president is more influential than Oscar Pistorius. So he might have influenced the justice system. That is my personal opinion. And Oscar does not have the same power as our president.
But doesn't that open up South Africa's justice system to public scrutiny? We're now going to see how the prosecution manages themselves, whether they're fair. We're going to see how the defense manages themselves, and all the flaws, or the possible flaws in our system are now going to be put right in the public domain, nationally and internationally. Isn't that a risk for South Africa's justice system?
It is a risk, and that is why we as law students have to work towards a better South Africa and a better justice system, because we see the flaws in our justice system, and I feel that we should do something about it as the upcoming generation.
Okay, Zikhona, I'm sure that you will soon get another interview for articles. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to ace that interview?
I'm going to relax more, and I'm going to prepare even more than I did before. I won't prepare. With the interview, my first interview, I found out the day before that I had an interview. So I didn't have much time to prepare for it. So now I'm going to make sure that I prepare beforehand.
Okay, and what if that company informs you the day before again?
The way to go about it is when I apply to a company, I do go to the website. So I must take note of everything that is on their website when I apply.
What will be your final parting words of advice to the students who are watching this mock interview? Those in a similar situation as you, in your class, looking out for articles for next year.
I'd say let's apply to every law firm that we can get our hands on, and let's prepare diligently before we go to an interview. And we have to do a lot of research. I need to do a lot of research, and I need to polish up on my research skills as well. So I feel that we should do that.
But isn't it too late? Companies or law firms recruit 2 years in advance. You're in final year, in 8 months' time it will be all over. The possibility of articles for next year have all been filled, or most of them have been filled.
But there is still opportunities open, because there are some law firms that are still recruiting, and for example, Adams & Adams, they don't have a closing date to apply online. You just send in your application online. So there are still law firms that they are not closed yet. And we shouldn't apply to the big law firms only. We should apply to medium law firms and small-sized law firms. And we can apply to legal aids as well. And there are private companies like Santam, they're still recruiting. So if we can get our hands on those companies, we should.
Right, for the last question, how did you find this mock interview?
It felt like a real interview, and I was able to spot my mistakes again, somehow. I feel that we should work on the way I should work on the way I speak and engage with the interviewers. But it was nice.
Best wishes for your exams that lie ahead, and best wishes for your career.
Thank you.
Well, this is Zikhona. She gave us her insights into her first interview in response to her application for articles. We trust that you'll learn out of her experience We trust as well that you'll sharpen up your job search skills, your interview skills. There are resources that are available in the Student Development Office. There are DVDs that you can come and watch. There's books that you can read up on. And there is no excuse for being unprepared at an interview. It lies in your hands. Best wishes.